Good morning, Soul Center. Everybody's doing good?
Yes.
Everybody's ready for an amazing new decade?
Yes.
Do you know what that really means? If you're ready, that means you're willing to do the work. You're willing to do the work. Yes, nature will provide us with everything we need. But as those of you who know, there is a part of it that we have to take responsibility for and participate in. Participate in the law of creation, participate in your own spiritual evolution. That is what Soul Center is all about. We're part of the Agape Association of Communities. If you are here for the very first time, I would like to personally welcome you to our spiritual community. We participate in the truth teachings of the New Thought movement, of the Agape movement, which basically means that we are part of a mystical sect of teachings that allow us to embody that which is espoused in Scripture, but sometimes is only theoretically analyzed or intellectualized. We choose in our spiritual community to actually participate in the growth of good, the growth of magnificence, the growth that you are inevitably going to experience at some point. You will participate in latching onto the golden thread and allowing your soul to pull you into your magnificence, which I can guarantee you is about 1,000 times better than you can imagine right now, and then it goes even greater than that. It goes from glory to greater glory. This is what our community is about. It's about revelation, and it's about the embodiment that it becomes real to you. In the olden days, I used to participate in some of kind of the more airy-fairy aspects of spiritual growth where, you're participating in the law of attraction and you're doing your affirmations. Those affirmations that we did just moments ago, those are powerful proclamations and declarations of truth, but they don't amount to a bit of doodly until you embody them. It's a very spiritual word there. But it's about the embodiment. So we start with an awareness. And then we start to move into an embodiment. There are a lot of truth teachings that have been espoused throughout the centuries. And when you become serious, not too serious, just the right amount of serious, you want to be serious enough that you allow yourself to delve in, and not so serious that you make it difficult or challenging. You want to find that sweet space in the middle where you get to, because God is joy and love expressing. So we want to grow through joy and through love. That is the very nature of what we do. And to do that, the topic for today, as we bust out into this new decade, and really this is about busting out into who you really are. Did you know that there are parts of you think you know who you are? If you identify more primarily with your name and your age and your conditions, that is not who you are. I'm going to just be afraid to tell you, there is something greater within you that you are just barely scratching the surface of, and we want to pull that out from within us. We want to delve in and become more familiar with who we truly are than anything else. And that part of who we truly are is eternality. It is bliss, it is grace, it is magnificent. It is that which allows us to create without efforting. It is that which allows us to thrive without efforting. It is that which allows us to be prosperous without efforting. There is no efforting in God. The mighty oak does not sit there and go, "Oh, I'm holding up my branches. It just is. It thrives. The flowers bloom and they don't, oh my God, I've got to unfold these petals and then I've got to emit a fragrance. Oh my God. They just do. The lilies of the field toil not, because it is an effortless experience. And when we surrender for some people is a four-letter word. Some people don't like the idea of surrender because they equate that with weakness. Surrender is one of the most profound things you will ever do as you step into your magnificence. You will surrender from lack and limitation. You will surrender from that which would thwart you, and you will rise into the true power. The difference between the lowercase p power, which is the ego that tries to control things, and the capital P power, which you claim dominion over your life. You claim dominion by communing with spirit, communing with your soul. You You have every answer you need within you right now, but part of the path is to discern and decipher, to get out your Sherlock Holmes secret code book, the spiritual version, and start to decipher, how do I get to the truth that sets me free? Because I will tell you, a lot of times people are going to the lies that try to set them free, and it's never going to work. The lies that we adhere to are going to imprison us. There are plenty of people. You take someone like Nelson Mandela or anybody who you could be incarcerated and you could be absolutely free, and you could be free and be absolutely incarcerated by the imprisonment of your own worries, doubts, fears, lack, and limitation. And we are here to bust out of that, to choose to bust out of that. The topic for today is to increase your divine energy quotient. That is the nature. Your divine energy quotient is the amount of light, the amount of God, the amount of your soul energy that you allow to express into the world. And we want to deliberately, first we want to even know that that even exists. We want to know that life is not inherently degenerative. It is not where you're born, you grow up, and you get into your teens and your 20s and your 30s, and you make it in the world with a lot of effort and a lot of trying and clawing and trying to get the house with the picket fence and whatever and all that jazz, and which is perfectly fine. That's totally okay. But not what's in it when it goes contrary to what your soul is seeking to express and experience. The soul is always seeking to express and experience through love and through joy. So we want to increase our divine energy quotient. Again, it's not a degenerative thing, it's a regenerative thing. When the mystics embody the empowerment energies and start to increase their divine energy quotient, you start to dissolve the illusion of that which we call aging, that which we call disability, that which we call disease. And I'm not talking about just physical disease, I'm talking about mental disease, emotional disease, anything that would create a dis-ease within our beingness. That is one of the cornerstones, that is one of the telltale signs that we are moving into and away from spirit. We want to move and gravitate towards spirit. And so there's understanding the language of God, the language of truth is one of the most important things. So we want to understand the difference between when you allow your mystical practices to lift you, you'll start to become aware of when things are breaking down. Things don't just all of a sudden break down. You don't all of a sudden end up in a disaster. There were telltale, subtle signs all along the way. So to become aware of what a breakdown is, we've all heard the expression, the breakdown to the breakthrough. But I want to talk about the breakdown to the breakup. The breakup means you're going to break up the things that create the breakdown, which is synonymous with transmuting that. So we want to become aware of some of the signs of a breakdown. A breakdown pretty much starts with a little bit of feeling the mundane. The mundane is when we start to feel the separation. It's very soft, it's very subtle. It's when things become a little bit dull. And so when things become mundane, that's one of the first signs that something needs to change, that we need to shift something. We need to go deeper into our spiritual practice. Then when we go from the mundane, sometimes we go into complacency. Complacency is when we start to adopt and accept that which is lack or limitation, and we adopt it into our daily routine. And then we start to go into the degenerative energies of pessimism and cynicism and buying into conspiracy theories. There's only one grand conspiracy that you want to buy into, and that is the conspiracy that God heals all things and all things in God are brilliant and beautiful. And we want to turn to that by turning within. There's a quote from St. Francis de Sales that says, "A half an hour of meditation every day is absolutely essential. Unless you're busy, then you need an hour every day." And I say that with absolute sincerity, because if you are too busy for a half an hour, then you definitely need an hour, because then you will start to participate in the law of expansion that expands time. It will expand time. Your excuses are your telltale of where your lack and limitation is. If you have an excuse as to why you can't participate in our visioning class, I'm going to say you want to take that excuse and toss it out. We are offering you things. I know this is a little bit of a plug, but it's a plug because I sincerely stand behind these teachings. My life has been completely transformed by understanding the language of God, the language of truth. The truth teachings, the truth shall set you free. There is nothing else that will set you free except the absolute truth, the capital T truth, the truth of the Holy Spirit of God through us, and we must find that. And when you find it in 100% acceptance, you will have a complete, radical, 180-degree transformation from where you are to where you would like to be or where you're going. But it takes a little bit of diligence, and above all, it takes sincerity. So we become aware of the signs of the breakdown, moving into complacency. When we move into complacency, then all of a sudden, sometimes, if you're in complacency long enough, then you'll move into uncomfortableness. Uncomfortableness is where things are a little bit uncomfortable, but you're starting to adapt to them. It's like, oh, I've been carrying around this pain for so long, and then I'm not going to really do anything about it. I'm just going to adapt and whatever. I'm going to work around it. I'm not going to dive within. I had a client once who came to me, and I'll tell you, when you start to explore the truth that sets you free, sometimes you're going to be kind of wildly amazed. I had this client that came to me, and she was very frustrated with a lot of her relationships. I know sometimes you hear me talk about relationships a lot in here because relationships are one of the key ingredients that we want to make sure thrive. We want to make sure our physical body thrives, our emotional body thrives, our mental body thrives, and we want to make sure our body of affairs are thriving. When you have your life structures in good condition, then you participate in the law of creation. So she came to me, and her life structure, she was in a deep sense, she had actually moved from uncomfortableness into discomfort. There's a difference between uncomfortableness. Uncomfortableness is like, oh, it's kind of uncomfortable and I'm just going to work around it. And discomfort means I'm getting to the point where I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you'll really know, one of the key telltale signs is when a pattern repeats itself more than once. When it becomes chronic, then you know there's something that needs your attention. You want to bring that into your awareness, and you want to be still and know that I am. So she came in, and she was having dysfunction in different areas of her life, specifically with her mom, with her parents. And her mom just didn't support her. Her mom was one of those very critical parents that was always, some people, if you look at it from one side, would say, hey, she's asking you to aspire to a level of excellence, because that's one way you could take it. Or you could say, oh no, she just always finds what's wrong with me, what's bad with me. So she came in and she was having problems with her teeth, her lower molars on the left side of her jaw, and she was going in for her fourth root canal. And it was really, and she went in for the root canal, and then it wasn't healing, and then she had to go back in and then to cleanse it out because it got infected. And she just thinks like, oh, there's this thing over here, which is I'm not achieving the goals that I would like to achieve in life. And oh, there's this thing over here, just this root canal that needs to take place, and this infection. Well, as we sat with it, I was like, well, what have you been chewing on in your consciousness that's creating the infection? What lie have you been chewing on in so it's on the left side, on the lower left side. So that means it's something about believing that they're in part of who you are. The left side of your body is your beingness side. So you're starting to decipher. Now we're using a little bit of logic, but we're using more of feeling into it. If you feel into it and you allow your body to tell you the truth that will set you free, it will start to reveal the code. It will start to reveal the truth. So as we sat with it, we dove in, we went into a meditative state, and we gave the infection, we gave the root canal a voice. And it started to talk to her. And all of these things that her mother had been challenging her on and criticizing her on, it's one thing to be criticized, But it's another thing to absorb the energy of the criticism and start to believe it's true. If you believe it's true, you'll know you believe something's true erroneously about you if it hurts. If somebody says something to you, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 if it hurts you, then that means there's a part of you that believes it's true. And we want to cleanse that. We want to cleanse that because it isn't true. Your eternal self is brilliant. Now, do we from time to time have behaviors that aren't in compliance with our soul's expression of pure, unconditional love? Yes, we do. And we want to take responsibility for that. If I'm behaving inappropriately, I want to take responsibility for that. In this case, the inappropriate behavior was the subconscious believing of what she was taking as criticism. And as we started to decipher it and say, okay, what's the truth here? What is the truth? So we want to align our intention with our desire. There's a desire. Underneath any hurt, underneath any pain, you will find something that wants to emerge itself into the truth. It always wants to find the truth. So we want to move into that level of divine participation in our spiritual unfoldment and participate in the breaking up of the things within us that are creating any of our uncomfortableness or any of our discomfort so that we can thrive and live completely from the law of creation. Because we know in our teachings that above the law of attraction, as you move into the law of emergence, you connect with that part of you that wants to express bliss and grace and beauty. It wants to sing your song. It wants to sing your song uninhibited and unconstricted by any excuses of the economy or so-and-so doesn't support me or any of our excuses. We want to be very aware of our excuses. We want to be very aware and mindful that we're going to cleanse them and transmute them. We're going to use the scriptural teachings that are found in all of the teachings. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Turn within. As Joel Goldsmith, he's one of the forefathers of the movement, of the New Thought movement, and he's one of my favorite mystics. And he says our realization of the nothingness of which is frightening us or creating the illusion of evil is the very thing that will set us free. Our awareness of the nothingness that is frightening us. That means we bring ourselves to know this is an illusion. In God, all things are good. All things are bliss. All things are beautiful. So we want to bring ourselves, and again, it doesn't happen by just affirming it at the intellectual level of the surface mind. That's a great place to start. We can start with our affirmations where we're saying them, but you want to have the intention, if you're doing an affirmation, you want your intention to be that I want to know this and I want to embody it. Whatever scriptural truth that you have ever heard, which will resonate in your heart. When you hear a truth, it will begin to resonate because the part of you, because you remember every single one of us comes coded and loaded with everything we need to interpret and understand and have a full revelation and realization of our magnificence. And we want to grab that. And as I was working with my client, and as we got to the revelation of what her tooth was trying to tell her, all of a sudden, over the next couple weeks, the infection cleared up. She went in, she did have to have a little bit of minor adjustment. It was all clean, it was all cleared. And it's been probably about 7-8 years. Has not had any more root canals, no more trouble with what she's been chewing on those erroneous ideas, chewing on. And the best part of it all is the revelation led her to an exquisite experience with her parents, specifically her mother. And they were able to embrace where it was like, oh my God, because revelation showed up and clarity showed up. And I was like, oh, some of it was an erroneous interpretation where when her mother was saying this or that, she actually wasn't criticizing. She was trying to uplift and empower and inspire. But have you ever had one of those experiences where somebody's trying to do that and you're just like, I'm not interested in your pep talk right now. And it's like, yeah, you're not receptive to it. We want to become receptive. So some of it was that, and then some of it was the lineage of what had been transferred down through her parents. And some of the erroneous ways that we bring up our children. Sometimes we use fear tactics to inspire our children. Not such the best way to do it. We got to find that sweet spot. How do you inspire without using fear? Where you really move into. And so part of that is when we come into prayer, and then we do the work behind the scenes. If you want to, as we were talking about last week, and I'm sure everybody did the homework, you were supposed to write down 100 relationships and start going through them one by one. And how would you like the relationships to be? When you go into the secret place of the Most High, when you go into the silence, God's first language is the silence. In the silence, beyond words, where inspiration and revelation rise up into your awareness. When we go into the silence, and then we connect with the perfect blueprint of whatever it is that we're seeking. Whether it's the perfect blueprint of a project we're working on, a perfect blueprint of a relationship that we would like to enhance or have brand new. A lot of people, our spiritual structures, we have our financial structures, our wellness structures, our relationship structures, our creativity structures. We want our structures to be on solid, holy ground. When our structures are on solid, holy ground, you are invincible, and yet you are humble, because you know that it is not me, but it is the Father within that doeth the work. That is one of the most powerful places you will ever be. That is heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is when you embody that down to your toes and you feel it in your bones. You feel the presence of your soul in your bones. It's an embodiment. That's what we want to do. So the breakup, what we want to do is we want to ask. We want to ask through the process of inquiry. So we use inquiry, we ask by saying, show me what it is like. I'd like to know. I want to know what the answer is. Show me what it's like to have a perfect relationship with so-and-so. We want to literally ask, and then we want to use the acronym for ask, which is acknowledge what is going on. Slow down enough. Take that extra half an hour of meditation that you require. Slow down enough and acknowledge what's going on. What's going on with so-and-so or such and such or in my body? What's going on with my tooth? Okay? And I want the truth to set me free. I want the truth to set me free. Now, it might take a minute, and by a minute, maybe 10, maybe half an hour. But I'll tell you, a half an hour of communing with Spirit that's going to yield you a lifetime of freedom, don't you think that's worth it? We want to move into the next stage of asking. We go from A as in acknowledge, and we go into S as in seek. Seek and find the kingdom of heaven. We want to seek. We want to put on our Sherlock Holmes spiritual hat, and we want to seek and find that which is seeking to emerge through us and for us in benevolent and beautiful ways, because we know in our teachings there is no devil, there is no evil, only to the degree that you believe there is. We know that God is good and only good. God is bliss, grace, beauty, truth beyond your wildest dreams. And when you touch the hem of the garment of that bliss, it is nirvanic magnificence. And we want to touch that. You want to ask and know, what is that like? What is it like? I know that as these beautiful band members over here, when you ever see them and they're just like, they're all in it. I watch Jessie and it's like, oh God, and it's like, they're in it. Rena's like, she's so in it. Christy's in it. When you guys are all in it, Brian, I love, Gabe, all of you, Michael, I love all, I love it. We're in it. You're letting the song sing you. Let the song sing you. That's what we want to do in our life. Let the song sing you. We want to then move into the A, acknowledge, the S, seek, and then we want to move into the K, the ask of knowing. We want to know what that is. What does it mean to me? It doesn't mount to a hill of beans, to use an old expression that I heard in some ancient movie. I was like, what is that, a hill of beans? But still not sure what that means. But it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. Okay, sounds like it doesn't amount to very much. So we want to know. We want it to be feel it in our bones, feel it in our beingness, and we want to have a revelation. Anything short of a revelation is going to leave you half-baked, and we don't want to be half-baked. We want to be fully baked all the way through. We want to feel the presence of God in our beingness. And so we want to completely surrender into this. We want to allow ourselves to participate in the break up of that which is seeking to inhibit or thwart us. And we want to participate in the conscious evolution of our soul. And I will tell you, you've heard me from time to time talk about various situations in my life that I've healed through. I've healed through physical illnesses. I've healed through situational illnesses. I've, above all, probably the most liberating is healed through emotional limitation, where it's like, oh my God, because it's like there's this, all that it is, the only thing you need to fear is fear itself, that fear that just blocks you from taking action. Oh, I can't do that because of this. And it's like, oh, well, that's the first sign that you want to get inside, be still, and start to ask. Ask for the clarity, ask for the guidance, and know that as you connect with the vision, the call of your soul, as Reverend Michael refers to being pulled by the vision or pushed by the pain, we want to move into being pulled by the vision. And again, this is why I beseech you to please sign up for the visioning class, because it is visioning is a life structure that we want to participate in. We want to capture the vision of our soul. There's nothing better than that. Your soul has a better idea of what's going on in your life than your small-minded self would ever be able to accomplish. So in the class, we're going to tap into your vision of your life. That sounds pretty good to me. And again, the class is being offered for half the price of what it's being offered at Agape. So you might as well take advantage of that too. So we have the best teachings here, we have the best practices, and we want to embody that. We want to dive in and take responsibility, as you've heard, capital R responsibility. We want to let the truth set us free, and we don't take no for an answer. So we want to be aware of the breakdown. The first little telltale signs of the breakdown is when things become a little mundane, a little dull, and then when they accelerate all the way to pain. Pain means we've ignored something long enough that it has created such a disruption. And even in that, pain, which you've heard me say before, pay attention inside now. We got to go within to alleviate the pain and bring the light in. One of the key things, there's two types of darkness out there. There's the darkness when I am completely having a dark night of the soul and I am so encumbered by my pain, by my isolation, by my lack and limitation. And there's the darkness, the capital D darkness, when we turn within, we go into the still small place of the Most High, we go into that darkness. And it is the capital D darkness that will take you out of the lowercase d darkness into the light of your holy illumination. And it's from there that we thrive. I've given you a whole lot. I'm going to ask you to review this online on YouTube, because it really is, these are powerful teachings. And I can tell you the other thing about our New Thought community, when you walk into a place, do you know why Agape resonated with me when I walked in? Because people who are the ministers and the practitioners are starting to embody it, and they're starting to walk the talk. It's not about just talking about it. It's great to have an intellectual conversation about all of this stuff, but man, it makes all the difference in the world when you embody it. So we want to embody it. We're all in agreement. We're all in agreement, because God only works in benevolent and beautiful and glorious ways, that's the way we're going to grow, that's the way we're going to heal, that's the way we're going to expand. We're going to heal, grow, and expand. Our intention, which is in alignment with universal life force frequencies and energies and the energy of God, is that we, you and I, all of us online, we are all healing and growing and choosing it in benevolent, elegant, beautiful ways, and we will be willing to participate in this. This is what we choose, and as we do, I'm going to invite you to join me as we turn within, into the beginning, into the prayer field. We take a moment and we just allow ourselves to let go of all intellectualizing, all thinking, all efforting, all trying, And we open our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls even more to the holy presence, even more to the light, even more to brilliance and beauty and harmony, for this is the very nature of God. God is a good. God is bliss, grace, beauty, truth that is always emanating itself, always radiating itself, and efforts not. It is elegance beyond our wildest dreams, and it resides within us. For we are born in the image and likeness of God, as it is stated in all scriptures and all sacred texts around the world. We are born in the very image and the very likeness of God, a divine spark of our beingness that has never been hurt or harmed. There is a light, a radiance within us that has never been hurt or harmed. It only knows eternal goodness, and as we join the divine conspiracy and allow that to rise up from within us, to wash over us, to express, and allow the truth to set us free, we come into the law of radiance, radiating God through us, anchoring heaven on earth through us. We become aware of the physical laws, and we participate and bring them into the vibration of divine law, the law of brilliance, the law of creation that unfolds and unfurls itself so elegantly. We participate in that. We open to that. I invite you to take a moment and join me as we allow the energy of our soul, the energy of our radiant eternal light to rise up from within us and to reveal itself, and that we become more familiar with this than anything else. We allow ourselves to surrender, which means we yield to the good, to the grace, to the beauty, to the light of God, and we allow it to have its way to us and through us. We have already agreed that we are saying a yes to growing and expanding and thriving and creating through love and through joy and through bliss and through grace and through beauty and through divine cooperation. For cooperation is the very nature of life. Life is brilliantly cooperative, and we choose to participate in that in our lives, because we know that there is life beyond what we see in the world of effects. There is the true life, the eternal life, and this is where we choose to reside and abide. I'm truly grateful to know that each and every one of us has everything we need already within us. We choose to seek and find the truth and to have it express itself brilliantly, elegantly, beautifully, right here, right now. And it is from a place of gratitude, deep and abiding gratitude, knowing that it is God's good pleasure to bring forward the kingdom of heaven to, through, and as our lives. We accept it. We move into divine right receivership. We must receive our good. We ask for it. We move into divine right receivership, and we allow it to be. We allow it to be, claiming it so by saying, and so I let it be. And so it is. Amen. 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 Aho. Ashe. Shalom. Hotep. And hallelujah. Yes. All right. We're ready to rock and roll. I think it's time for the ushers to come forward, and we're going to participate in the law of circulation. There's some ushers, I think, coming forward. Thank you, ushers. And as we prepare our tithes, we participate in the law of circulation, knowing that money is just a ways to an ends, and that as we allow spirit to thrive our ways, we touch the hem of the garment of infinite supply. So we are not giving from a limited place, we are giving from an overflowing place, and we are participating in blessing, absolutely blessing, and also knowing that these are tax deductible. So I'm going to invite you to hold your tithe in your hands. And some of you I know are auto tithing, and if you're not, you might want to consider auto tithing. That's a way that we can really be assured that our community continues to thrive. However you participate, we are so truly grateful. We hold our tithe in our palms and our hands. We give great thanks knowing that as we participate in the law of circulation, we are all participating in the eternal nature of ever-expanding good, as prosperity, as goodness, as joy, and we allow it all to be. We give thanks for this, and we ask the ushers to go forward. Thank you, ushers.